Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and pranams. Thank you for joining in for our Krishna book study session. We are on chapter number 89 of the Krishna book. We'll start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir-bhavati Naistaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Pankajanabhaya Namo Pankajamaline Namo Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye Pahi Pahi Mahayogin देवदेव जगत्पते नान्यं द्वादभयं पश्ये यत्र मृत्यो परस्परं कृष्ण कृष्ण महाबाहो भक्तानां अभयंकरः त्वमेको दह्यमानानाम् अपवर्गोऽसि संश्रुतेः ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्यमीश्वरं हरिः ओं तत्सत् गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna, dear devotees and pranams. So we are on chapter number 89 of the Krishna book. So last time we were discussing about how the three modes of material nature are affecting us, right? Whatever is the body that we've acquired is because of our past desires and past karmas. And accordingly, whatever body we have acquired, we get our decisions and our thoughts, our words, our deeds get affected by the modes of material nature that we have acquired, basis our past desires and activities. So what does a devotee do? A devotee lives peacefully. That's what we read. Nipuna buddhayaha. That means devotees are very, very intelligent. Nipuna buddhayaha. That means they are intelligent class of people. And what do? They live peacefully and they are not agitated by the influence of passion and ignorance. Right? We're discussing about Tadarajastamo bhava kama lobhadayaschaye chetyaitirana स्थितं सत्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्न मनसो भगवद्भक्ति योगतः भगवतत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्त संगस्य जायते. So devotees, by the association of those devotees who are situated in the Shuddha Sattva platform, are easily able to cross over the modes of passion and ignorance and attain the Sattva Guna platform. That is what is mentioned here. So why should a devotee be attached to the quality of goodness? That is what we're going to study today, right? Why? Because a devotee, if is situated in the platform of goodness, is easily able to accept the platform of devotional service and use it as a springboard to attain Shuddha Sattva platform. Whereas somebody who's in the Tamoguna or in the Rajoguna platform, it becomes very difficult for that person to accept the process of devotional service because one's mind is totally into passion and ignorance, into sense gratification, right? In Sattva Guna, there is goodness, there is satisfaction, there is happiness. So one wants to inquire more about how can I achieve the perfection of the human form of life. However, Sattva Guna in itself is not all in all, right? Somebody who's in Tamoguna also, if he takes the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, can easily reach Shuddha Sattva. So Sattva Guna is a good platform, but is not a good destination in itself, like that. Okay, let's move ahead. Devotees can raise your hands, whoever wants to study. Okay, Karpagoli Mataji, go ahead. It may be question here.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Dandatnam. Am I audible, Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Dandat Pranam. Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Mataji. It may be questioned here why a devotee should be attached to the quality of goodness in the material world if he is transcendental to all material qualities. The answer to is that there are different kinds of people existing in the modes of material nature. Those in the mode of ignorance are called Rakshasas, those in the mode of passion are called Asuras, and those in the mode of goodness are called Suras or demigods. Under the direction of the Supreme Lord, these three classes of men are created by a material nature, but those in the mode of goodness have a greater chance to be elevated to the spiritual world back home, back to Godhead. Thus, all the sages who assembled on the bank of the river Saraswati tried to determine who is the supreme predominating deity, became free from all doubts about Vishnu worship. All of them thereafter engaged in devotional service, and thus they achieved the desired result and went back to Godhead. Those who are actually eager to be liberated from the material entanglement would do well to accept at once the conclusion given by Sri Sukadeva Goswami. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is spoken by Sukadeva Goswami, it is said that hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is extremely conducive to liberation. The same fact is now confirmed by Sudha Goswami. If anyone who is traveling aimlessly within this material world cares to hear the nectarian words spoken by Sukadeva Goswami, certainly he will come to the right conclusion, which is that simply by discharging devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one will be able to stop the fatigue of perpetually migrating from one material body to another. In other words, one who becomes fixed in loving devotional service to Vishnu will certainly be able to get relief from this journey of material life, and the process is very simple. One has to give oral reception to the sweet words spoken by Sukadeva Goswami in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Another conclusion is that we should never consider the demigods, even Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, to be on an equal level with Lord Vishnu. If we do this, then according to the Padma Purana, we are immediately categorized as atheists. Also, in the Vedic scripture known as the Hari Vamsa, it is stated that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is to be worshipped, and that the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or any such Vishnu mantra is always to be chanted. In the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma says both Lord Vishnu, Shiva and I are engaged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to act in different capacities under his direction. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is also said that the only master is Krishna, and that all others in the categories of life are servants of Krishna only. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed by the Lord that there is no truth superior to Krishna. Sukadeva Goswami also, in order to draw attention to the fact that among all Vishnu Tattva forms, Lord Krishna is 100% the Supreme Personality of Godhead, narrated the story of an incident which took place when Lord Krishna was present. Once upon a time in Dwaraka, a Brahmana's wife gave birth to a child. Unfortunately, however, just after being born and touching the ground, the child immediately died. The Brahmana father took the child and went directly to the palace of the king. The Brahmana was very upset because of the untimely death of the child in the presence of his young father and mother. Thus, his mind became very much disturbed. Formerly, when there were responsible king up to the time of Dwapara Yuga, when Lord Krishna was present, the king was liable to be blamed for the untimely death of a child in the presence of his parents. Similarly, such responsibility was there during the time of Lord Ramachandra. As we have explained in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the king was also responsible for the comforts of the citizen, and he was to see that there was not even excessive heat or cold. Now the Brahmana whose child had died, thinking there was no fault on his own part, immediately went to the palace door with the dead child in his arms and accused the king as follows. The present king, Ugrasena, is envious of the Brahmanas. The exact word used in this connection is Brahmana Dveshaha. One who is envious of the Vedas of a qualified Brahmana or of the Brahmana caste is called Brahmana Dveshi. If the So the king was accused of being Brahmana Dvesh. He was also accused of being Satadehi, Satadehi, falsely intelligent. The executive head of the state must be very intelligent to see the comforts of the citizen. But according to the Brahmana, the king was not at all intelligent, although he was occupying the royal throne. Therefore, the Brahmana also called him Labda, that means greedy. In other words, a king or an executive head of the state should not occupy the exalted position of president or king if he is greedy or self-interested. But it is nature that an executive head becomes self-interested when he is attached to the material enjoyment. Therefore, another word used here is Visayat Atmanaha. The Brahmana also accused the
Krishna,
king of being
Hari Bol, Dandat Pranam. Okay, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Hare. Am I audible now? Hare Krishna. Okay. So there's some problem with the speaker, so I'm using the mobile this thing and video from here. All right. So I was just saying that during Rama Rajya, like what was just now read, right? Rama Rajya, we're talking about Treta Yuga. In Treta Yuga, people used to complain to the king, right? If at all a son dies before the father, right? And there never used to be such an occasion. The son is dying before the father. Otherwise, they can go and ask Lord Ram, right? How is it that happened? And there has to be given a reason why it is happening in the kingdom like this. This is inauspicious, right? But nowadays we see, the deaths are happening left, right, and center. People are going in the car, in the bikes. Accidents are happening. Floods, famine is happening. This, that, etc. Right? Because of that, deaths are happening. Because now in Kali Yuga, there is no reason why. Because Mother Earth is completely exploited because of the sense gratificatory nature of the people. There is so much of passion, ignorance. That is why they say, even now, we are hopeful for the Rama Rajya, like that. So here also we see that, various scriptural references were given. Ekala Ishvara Krishna, Ora Sabhabritya, right? What is that? The other verse? Ete Chamsha Kalapumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. To re-establish the principles of religion, Krishna, whose avatari, appears again and again. So this is to re-establish the principle that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God and everybody else, Ara Sabha Britya, everybody else is the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is what is established here. And because of that, this story of the Brahmana is given. This Brahmana had a son, and because this we are talking about Dwapara Yuga, right, where Lord Sri Krishna Chandra is there, right? So in order to establish that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and when Krishna is there in the planet, how come, a son of a Brahmana died before the Brahmana, right? And this Brahmana was not even respectful of the king, right? He just went to the king, but he himself is thinking that I am very intelligent, but this person is not worthy to be a king, because a king is not supposed to be greedy, a king is not supposed to be self-interested, a king is not supposed to be attached to material enjoyment, right? A king is supposed to be Kshatriya. Kshatriya means one who protects all the citizens, like Parikshit Maharaj, right? When he went across his kingdom, he saw a cow and he saw a bull. The bull was standing on one leg, right? Because all the principles except truthfulness had already gone, right? So what did he do? He immediately asked the bull and the cow what was troubling. The cow was crying. It had tears in its eyes. So the Parikshit Maharaj asked the bull, what is happening, right? Why is there why is there eyes in the tears in the eyes of the cow? So like that, that is Kshatriya. Kshatriya means one who protects. Trayate iti Kshatriya. Right? That means one who gives protection to everybody. That person is a Kshatriya. Right? So here, this Brahmana, he is not respecting the king, right? Because he thinks the king is not capable of doing anything. But let's see what is the position. What happens in the later part of the story where the Brahmana is taking his son to the king and asking the king, although in his mind he's thinking the king is not qualified. Let's see what happens. Okay, so who will read next? Okay, our session will end at 8:10. Okay, so I think I can see Sindhu Mataji, Leelandin Mataji. Okay, go ahead, Mataji. Sindhu Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, pranams Mataji. Hare Bol, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Brahmana also accused the king. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
The Brahmana also accused the king of being Shatra Bandhu. Shatra Bandhu, which refers to a person born in the family of Kshatriyas or the royal order, but lacking the qualifications of a royal personality. A king should protect the Brahminical culture and should be very alert to the welfare of his citizens. He should not be greedy due to the attachment to material enjoyment. If a person with no qualifications represents himself as a Kshatriya of the royal order, he is not called a Kshatriya, but a Kshatrabandhu. Similarly, if a person is born of a Brahmana father but has no Brahminical qualification, he is called Brahmabandhu or Dvijabandhu. This means that a Brahmana or a Kshatriya is not accepted simply by birth. One has to qualify himself for the particular position. Only then is he accepted as a Brahmana or a Kshatriya. Thus, the Brahmana charged that his newly born baby was dead due to the disqualifications of the king. The Brahmana took it to be most unnatural, and therefore he held the king responsible. We also find in the Vedic history that the Kshatriya king was responsible. Sometimes a consulting board of Brahmanas maintained by the monarchy would dethrone him. Considering all these points, it appears that the post of a monarch in the Vedic civilization is a very responsible one. The Brahmana therefore said, no one should offer respects or worship to a king whose only business is envy. Such a king spends his time either hunting and killing animals in the forest or killing citizens for criminal acts. He has no self-control and possesses bad character. If such a king is worshipped or honored by the citizens will never be happy. They will always remain poor, full of anxieties and aggrievement, and always unhappy. In modern politics, the post of monarch has been abolished and the president is not held responsible for the comforts of the citizens. In this age of Kali, the executive head of a state somehow or the other gets votes and is elected to an exalted post, but the condition of the citizens continues to be full of anxiety, distress, unhappiness, and dissatisfaction. The Brahmana's second child also died at birth, and the third also. He had 9 children who all died at birth, and each time he came to the gate of the palace to accuse the king. When the Brahmana came to accuse the king of Dwaraka for the 9th time, Arjuna happened to be present with Krishna. On hearing that a Brahmana was accusing the king of not properly protecting him, Arjuna became inquisitive and approached the Brahmana. He said, my dear Brahmana, why do you say that there are no proper Kshatriyas to protect the citizens of your country? Is there not even someone who can pretend to be a Kshatriya, who can carry a bow and arrow at least to make a show of protection? Do you think that all the royal personalities in this country simply engage in performing sacrifices with the Brahmanas but have no chivalrous power? Thus, Arjuna indicated that Kshatriya should not sit back comfortably on the pretext of performing Vedic rituals, but must rather be very chivalrous in protecting the citizens. Brahmanas being engaged in spiritual activities are not expected to do anything which requires physical endeavor. Therefore, they need to be protected by the Kshatriyas so that they will not be disturbed in the execution of their higher occupational duties. If the Brahmanas feel unwanted separation from their wives and children, Arjuna continued, and the Kshatriya kings do not take care of them, then such Kshatriyas are to be considered no more than stage players. In dramatic performances in the theatre, an actor may play the part of a king, but no one expects any benefits from such a make-believe king. Similarly, if the king or the executive head of a state cannot give protection to the head of the social structure, he is considered merely a bluffer. Such executive heads simply live for their own livelihood while occupying exalted posts as chief of state. My lord, I promise that I shall give protection to your children. And if I am unable to do so, then I shall enter into blazing fire so that the sinful contamination which has infected me will be counteracted. Upon hearing Arjuna speak in this way, the Brahmana replied, "My dear Arjuna, Lord Balarama is present, but he could not give protection to my children. Lord Krishna is also present, but he could not give other heroes such as Pradyumna and Aniruddha carrying bows and arrows, but they could not protect my children." The Brahmana directly hinted that Arjuna could not do that which was impossible for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He felt that Arjuna was promising something beyond his power. The Brahmana said, "I consider your promise to be like that of an inexperienced child. I cannot put my faith in your promise."
You want to read
Arjuna
ahead?
then
Hare Krishna. Go ahead, Mataji. You want to read ahead, or I'll ask Leonandini Mataji to continue?
Yeah, Mataji. I'll read one paragraph.
Yes, go ahead.
Arjuna then understood that the Brahmana had lost all faith in the Kshatriya kings. Therefore, to encourage him, Arjuna spoke as if criticizing even his friend Lord Krishna. While Lord Krishna and others were listening, he specifically attacked Krishna by saying, "My dear Brahmana, I am neither Shankarshana nor Krishna nor one of Krishna's sons like Pradyumna or Aniruddha. My name is Arjuna and I carry the bow known as Gandiva. You cannot insult me, for I have satisfied even Lord Shiva by my prowess when we were both hunting in the forest. I had a fight with Lord Shiva, who appeared before me as a hunter, and when I satisfied him by my prowess, he gave me the weapon known as Pashupata. Do not doubt my chivalry. I shall bring back your sons, even if I have to fight with death personified." When the Brahmana was assured by Arjuna in such exalted words, he was somehow or the other convinced, and thus he returned home.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Yes.
When the Brahmana's wife was to give birth to another child, the Brahmana began to chant, "My dear Arjuna, please come now and save my child." After hearing him, Arjuna immediately prepared himself by touching sanctified water and uttering holy mantras to protect his bows and arrows from danger. He specifically took the arrow presented to him by Lord Shiva, and while going out, he remembered Lord Shiva and his great favor. In this way, he appeared in front of the maternity home, equipped with his bow, known as Gandiva, and with various other weapons. Arjuna, who apparently had not left Dwaraka because he had to fulfill his promise to the Brahmana, was called at night when the Brahmana's wife was to give birth to the child. While going to the maternity home to attend to the delivery case of the Brahmana's wife, Arjuna remembered Lord Shiva and not his friend Krishna. He thought that since Krishna could not give protection to the Brahmana, it was better to take shelter of Lord Shiva. This is another instance of how a person takes shelter of the demigods. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Kamaisthaisthadate hrida jnana prabhande nya devada, anya devada. A person who loses his intelligence because of greed and lust forgets the Supreme Personality of God and takes shelter of the demigods. Of course, Arjuna was not an ordinary living entity, but because of the friendly dealings with Krishna, he thought that Krishna was unable to give protection to the Brahmana and that he would be better to remember Lord Shiva. Later, it was proved that Arjuna's taking shelter of Lord Shiva instead of Krishna was not at all successful. Arjuna, however, did his best by chanting different mantras and he shot arrows up and down to guard the maternity home from all directions. The Brahmana's wife delivered a male child, and as usual, the child began to cry. But suddenly, within a few minutes, both the child and Arjuna's arrows disappeared into the sky. It appears that the Brahmana's house was near Krishna's residence and that Lord Krishna was enjoying everything that was taking place, apparently in defiance of his authority. It was he who played the trick of taking away the Brahmana's baby as well as the arrows, including the one given by Lord Shiva, of which Arjuna was so proud. Antavantu phalam tesham tad bhavade alpamedasam. Less intelligent men take shelter of the demigods due to bewilderment and are satisfied with the temporary benefits they award. In the presence of Lord Krishna and others, the Brahmana began to accuse Arjuna. "Everyone see my foolishness. I put my faith in the words of Arjuna, who is impotent and who is expert only in false promises. How foolish I was to believe Arjuna." He promised to protect my child when even Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Lord Balrama, and Lord Krishna had failed. If such great personalities could not protect my child, then who can do so? I therefore condemn Arjuna for his false promise, and I also condemn his celebrated bow Gandiva and his impudence in declaring himself greater than Lord Balrama, Lord Krishna, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. How can anyone save my child who has already been transferred to another planet? Due to sheer foolishness only, Arjuna thought he could bring back my child from another planet. Thus, condemned by Brahmana, Arjuna empowered himself with a mystic yoga perfection so that he could travel to any other planet to find the Brahmana's baby. It seems that Arjuna had mastered the mystic yoga power by which yogis can travel to any planets they desire. He first of all went to the planet known as Yamaloka, where the superintendent of death, Yamaraja, lives. There he searched for the Brahmana's baby but was unable to find him. He then immediately went to the planet where the king of heaven, Indra, lives. When unable to find the baby there, he went to the planet of fire demigod, then to the planet of Nirti demigod, and then to the moon planet. Then he went to Vayuloka and Varunaloka. When unable to find the baby on those planets, he went down to the Rasatala planet, the lowest of the planetary systems. After traveling to all these different planets, he finally went to Brahmaloka, where even mystic yogis cannot go. But the grace of Lord Sri Krishna, Arjuna had that power and he went above the heavenly planets to Brahmaloka. When he was unable to find the baby, even after searching all possible planets, he then attempted to throw himself into the fire, since he had promised the Brahmana he would do so if unable to bring back his baby. Lord Sri Krishna, however, was very kind towards Arjuna because Arjuna was the most intimate friend of the Lord. Lord Krishna persuaded Arjuna not to enter the fire in disgrace. Krishna indicated that since Arjuna was his friend, if he were to enter the fire in hopelessness, indirectly it would be a blemish on him. Lord Sri Krishna therefore checked Arjuna, assuring him that he would find the baby. He told Arjuna, do not foolishly commit suicide. After addressing Arjuna in this way, Lord Krishna called his transcendental chariot. He mounted it along with Arjuna and began to proceed north. Lord Krishna, the all-powerful personality of Godhead, could have brought the child back without effort, but we should always remember that he was playing the part of a human being. As a human being, as to endeavor to achieve certain results, so Lord Sri Krishna, like an ordinary human being or like his friend Arjuna, left Dwaraka to bring back the Brahmana's baby. By appearing in human society and exhibiting his pastimes as a human being, Krishna definitely showed that there was not a single personality greater than he. God is great. That is the definition of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, at least within this material world, while he was present, Krishna proved that there was no great personality within this universe. Seated on his chariot. Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam, Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
So this is very interesting. Arjuna is thinking, Krishna will not be able to save because Krishna was here, Balaram was here, Pradyumna and Aniruddha are all here, but they have not been able to save this Brahmana's sons. So many 8 children have died. They have not been able to do anything. So let me rely on Pashupata Astra given by Lord Shiva. So he remembers Lord Shiva, and in this way, he also takes a vow that in case I'm not able to save the Brahmana's child, I will myself enter into a fire. Right? So we've seen in the case of Jarasandha also, the same thing happened. Sorry, Jayadratha. Also the same thing happened that Arjuna said, if I don't kill him by sunset, then I will enter into fire. In all the cases, although Arjuna does not surrender to Krishna, because Arjuna is an intimate friend of Krishna, Krishna always comes. Whenever Arjuna, promises something not able to fulfill and he about to enter into the fire, then Krishna always comes to protect Arjuna, right? So what is Krishna also tells in Bhagavad Gita that I am giving you this knowledge because you are my dear friend and you are intimate to me and you are not envious of me, right? If you are not envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then Krishna will give us the right intelligence to help us come over the mode of ignorance and passion at the right time. When we surrender to the Lord, like Arjuna, he understood that I'm not able to save the child on my own accord, right? So let me enter into the fire. And that's when Krishna is again helping Arjuna. So whenever we are completely helpless and we surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord will almost always help us. It depends on our level of surrender, right? That is why the Acharyas explained that we are always helpless in this world, but we need not feel hopeless. We always feel helpless because this material world is such a world of uncertainty, a world of dukkhalayam and ashashvatam. But we can always feel, we need not feel hopeless because we always have the guidance of Guru and Gauranga, wherever we may be. That's the advantage the devotees have. Okay, who else would like to read? Okay, Anusha Mataji, go ahead. The meeting will end in about, I will believe, 7 minutes. So Anusha Mataji can read 2 paragraphs and then we'll end our session with Harinam Sankirtan. Yes, Mataji, go ahead. Oh God, okay, 1 second. Okay, go ahead, Mataji. Seated on his chariot with Arjuna from there.
Hare Krishna Mataji Dharma Pranam Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Seated on his chariot with Arjuna, Krishna proceeded north, crossing over many planetary systems. These are described in Srimad Bhagavatam as Sapta Dvipa. Dvipa means island. These planets are sometimes described in the Vedic literature as Dvipas. The planet on which we are living is called Jambu Dvipa. Outer space is taken as a great ocean of air, and within that, the great ocean of air, there are many islands which are the different planets. On each and every planet, there are also oceans. There are oceans also. On some of the planets, the oceans are of salt water, and on some of them, there are oceans of milk. On others, there are oceans of liquor, and on others, there are oceans of ghee or oil. There are different kinds of mountains also. Each and every planet has a different type of atmosphere. Krishna passed over all these planets and reached the covering of the universe. This covering is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as great darkness. The material world as a whole is described as dark. In the open space, there is sunlight, and therefore it is illuminated. But in the covering, because of the absence of sunlight, it is naturally dark. When Krishna approached the covering layer of this universe, the 4 horses which were drawing his chariot, Saibhya, Sugriva, Meghapushpa, and Balahaka all hesitated to enter the darkness. This hesitation is also a part of the pastimes of Lord Krishna, because the horses of Krishna are not ordinary. It is not possible for ordinary horses to go all over the universe and then enter into its outer covering layers. As Krishna is transcendental, his chariot and his horses and everything else about him are also transcendental, beyond the qualities of this material world. We should always remember that Krishna was playing the part of an ordinary human being, and his horses also, by the will of Krishna, played the parts of ordinary horses in hesitating to enter the darkness. Krishna is known as Yogeshwara. As stated in the last portion of Bhagavad Gita, Yogeshwaro Harihi. All mystic powers are under his control. In our experience, we can see many human beings who have yogic mystic power and who sometimes perform very wonderful acts. But Krishna is understood to be the master of all mystic power. Therefore, when he saw that his horses were hesitant to proceed into the darkness, he immediately released his disc known as the Sudarshan Chakra, which illuminated the sky 1,000 times brighter than sunlight. The darkness of the covering of the universe is also a creation of Krishna's, and the Sudarshan Chakra is Krishna's constant companion. Thus, he penetrated the darkness by keeping the Sudarshan Chakra before him. Srimad Bhagavatam states that Sudarshana Chakra penetrated the darkness just as an arrow released from the Shangabo or Sharanga bow of Lord Ramachandra penetrated the army of Ravana. Su means very nice, and Darshana means observation. By the grace of Lord Krishna's disc, Sudarshana, everything can be seen very nicely and nothing can remain in darkness. Thus, Lord Krishna and Arjuna crossed over the great region of darkness, covering the material universes.
Hare Krishna. Let us pranam. Yes, Mataji. Thank you. So, Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Adhikar. Jahan Krishna, taha nahi hai Maya Adhikar. Right? So, where there is Krishna, right? If there is complete darkness, the simple presence of Lord Shri Krishna can illuminate. Right? Similarly, when our hearts are filled with Tamogana also, Krishna says, Desham evanu kampartam aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami atmabhavasto jnana deepena bhashvataha. Just like he illuminated that entire piece of land which was completely in darkness, the horses were hesitant to go there. Similarly, in our heart, which is filled with complete darkness, called Kara Graha, it is mentioned, the dark prison house. Right? Simply by remembering Krishna, by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna will illuminate our hearts and fill our hearts with transcendental knowledge by which we can understand Krishna, his Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, and then go back home, back to Godhead, to eternally serve Lord Sri Krishna. So tomorrow is the most auspicious occasion of Ramanavami. Tomorrow we will continue this in the evening around same time, 7:30 p.m. Let's continue with chapter number 89. We'll complete chapter 89 and we're going to study the super excellent qualities of Lord Krishna, chapter number 90, an auspicious thing that we will do on Ramanavami. And then we will continue and complete chapter number 90 and then we will start Ramayana book by Krishna Dharmadas Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Dhanat Pranam. So quickly let us do Harinam Sankirtan 2 to 3 minutes. If the session ends, it's okay. Otherwise, I will see who are all there. So devotees are requested to switch on your cameras also. Dhanat Pranam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Iti Namate Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurava Gadadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadeeshatadine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gaudani Jaya Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jai Baladev Jaya Jai Jai Bala Gopal Jaya Rukmini Vithal Jaya Praladar Singh Jaya Lakshmi Narsimha Jai Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Radha Krishna Jaya Radha Rasa Bihari Jai Radha Madan Mohan Radha Govinda Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Kunda Bihari Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radha Sundar